Hey friend, have you found yourself wondering what the difference is between a will, a trust, and an LLC, and how these legal tools are supposed to help you protect your stuff? Well, then you want to pay attention to this video because I'm going to break down each of these so that you know exactly what you need to protect you, your loved ones, and your legacy. Now, if you're new to this channel, my name is Tammy Shambade. I am a lawyer, author, and speaker, and I help business leaders and high-achieving professionals protect their assets, amplify their influence, and secure their legacies. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through how wills, trusts, and LLCs work together to secure your legacy. You're going to learn why these tools are essential, how they protect you and your loved ones and your business, and the first steps to get started. If you stay to the end, I'll tell you about some resources that might help you assess whether your legacy is protected. So let's start with talking about how leaving your legacy up to chance doesn't work. It really means that you're leaving your legacy up to the government. If you don't have a will, you don't have a trust, you can really be opening up your family to potential family disputes. If you don't have a trust, your assets could be tied up in probate. That's a legal process. It's like going to court. Like, you'll have to do that if you don't have a trust, right? A will doesn't save you from that. If you don't have an LLC and you have a business, guess what? You could be exposing your personal assets. The stuff you own personally could be tied up in lawsuits regarding your business, right? And that could wipe out the wealth that you've created. So these three different tools have really different functions, but they're things that leaders use to protect and preserve their legacies. Let's dive into each one of those with a little bit more care. So we're going to start with the will. Your will outlines your wishes and your assets and responsibilities. This is one unique aspect of the will, though. It only applies when you die, right? People don't realize that a will doesn't talk about anything. It can't come into effect until you pass away. But there are other legal tools that you can use before you die, and we'll touch on those really quickly. But when most people are talking about planning their legacies, this is where they start, and it's a good place to start. You just need to understand that it has its limitations. Another thing that you should consider, in addition to the fact that it only comes into place when you die, is that this is public record. So if you have certain things, certain assets, certain properties, things that you own that you don't want the world to know, guess what? A will is not going to help you, right? It's all public. Essentially, a will outlines, this is what I want to have happen to my stuff when I pass away. It's not really the best tool if you have properties in multiple states. It's not really the best tool if you want privacy, and it's not the best tool if you don't want to have to deal with the court systems, right? It's also not always the best for people who are not in traditional family structures and relationships. So like, let's say you're in a blended family, you have some stepkids, and there's different ways that they want to be protected because they have a mom and you're not their mom or you're not their dad. If you are a single parent, there might be some things that you want to have special considerations for your children. If you adopted a child, right, or you have adopted children, even if you're in an LGBTQ family, right, you might have some unique considerations that require you or make you a better candidate for a structure that is more advanced beyond a will. And that leads us to trust. Trusts are the next level of protection, and they allow you to manage and distribute your wealth efficiently and privately. They allow you to avoid probate when done correctly. They can reduce taxes, again, when done correctly, and they can maintain privacy when done correctly. The one cool thing about trust, though, is that they can come into place before you die, right? So it's not something that only is triggered upon death. It can have other things that trigger it. The creation of the trust, honestly, can put it into place, but it depends. And I like to talk about trust like buckets, right? They're buckets that you use to put your stuff into. And when you put your stuff into those buckets, you talk about who manages it and who controls it, right? And then you talk about who manages it, who controls it, and who benefits from it. Essentially, it creates protection by reassigning or redefining how management and control are done. And it essentially kind of puts control out of your hands and puts it into the hands of the trust, right? It puts it into the bucket. Hey friend, here's a quick break to highlight a resource that will help you uncover how future-proof your business really is. My team and I have worked together to create the Wealth and Business Security Scorecard to help you discover where you might be vulnerable when it comes to long-term success, security, wealth, and longevity. In uncertain times, you need to prioritize figuring out ways to future-proof your business, and this scorecard was designed to help you do just that. After you finish it, you'll receive your very own custom score and specific strategies you can immediately implement to make your business more secure and future-proof. I'll link it below. You can get back to the video. Talk to you soon. If you control the bucket, then you still have that control. And there are just different strategies associated with, but that's like big picture how a trust works. Now, there are different types of trusts that have different levels of control, different levels of protection, and they do different types of things. You might have heard of a revocable living trust. Some people call it revocable. Either way, RLT. You may have heard of an irrevocable trust. A revocable trust means that you can change it. An irrevocable trust means that you can't change it. There are also charitable trusts. Those are for charities if you want to give something to a charitable cause. There are also irrevocable life insurance trusts or ILITs. There are special needs trusts if we're talking about people or individuals with special needs. There are spendthrift trusts that are good for businesses. There are a host of different trusts that you can use, right? But here's what you should know. Without a trust, you have to go through the court system. And if you do a trust incorrectly, you still might find yourself in the court system. So if you want to avoid the court system, you can leverage trust if you do them correctly, right? To allow you to facilitate transfers without dealing with going to court. You can pass things on to someone or multiple people before you die and when you die using trust. So we've talked about wills, we've talked about trust. Let's talk about LLCs. If you're new to this channel, then you might not know, but we have a ton of resources about LLCs. But let's talk about what that looks like with regards to protection. Essentially, an LLC separates your personal liabilities from your business liabilities. It creates a separation, a division between this is what I own and this is what the business owns. And what that does is that protects your personal assets from lawsuits. It can also allow you to take advantage of certain tax benefits if done correctly. Now, here's the risk without an LLC. If you don't have an LLC, your personal assets are not protected from lawsuits. So if something were to happen, right, to your business assets, your personal assets could be attacked. And so you really want to make sure, particularly if you're a business owner, that you have these things in place. When you also are investing, you're building your legacy, you're building your wealth, right? You might find that you own various assets that are better owned by an LLC for the same reasons, because you don't want them to be at risk to potential creditors or lawsuits. So when you are putting all these things together, you can end up with a will, a trust, and an LLC. And in many instances, for people with more advanced assets or more advanced situations, unique things, let's say, maybe you're not a business owner, but you have a couple of real estate investments. So you own some properties, right? In those instances, yeah, you're probably going to want an LLC, a trust, and, right, what did I say? You're probably going to want your LLC, your will, and your trust. Okay, those are going to be tools that you need. All three of these are critical because they control different buckets. I want you to think about it this way. Think about a car. A car has a ton of different parts that are all focused on getting you from here to there. And not one part does all of the work in terms of the motion. You need the tire, you need the engine, you need the steering wheel. They work together. That's the same way these different tools work to protect you and your assets. Now, in this video, I've only talked about 3. I talked about your wills, your trusts, your LLCs. There are more things. There are things like your power of attorney, right? Power of attorney, giving power to certain people to make decisions if you're unable to make decisions for yourself. There are things that people call advanced directives. Those are things that tell people this is exactly what I want when it comes to my health, right? So there are still additional tools, but the 3 tools that people usually confuse and usually have the most questions about are your wills, your trust, and your LLCs. I hope that this video has kind of unpacked that for you so you can see how they each take care of different buckets, and so you can start to think about, okay, how do I want to leverage these tools for myself? If you found the content that I provide to be valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And then make sure you follow us on social media at TOS Legal, and you can visit our website, toslegal.com. We have lots of resources, and you can connect with me if you want me to help you with more specific things. All right, have a great day. And remember, I'm here to help business leaders and high achieving professionals protect their assets, amplify their influence, and secure their legacies. Until next time, talk to you soon. Bye.